So I almost quit Destiny 2. In fact, this is how much I've played this season. Let that sink in. If you don't have a clue what you're seeing here, let me give you a comparison. I have spent 2 days playing Destiny 2 episode Revenant versus playing almost 9 days of Curse of Osiris, and if you know why that's bad, then I guess you know. Now, call Call of Duty bad or addictive, but I've played quadruple my episode Revenant playtime in half of the season's duration, a game that I don't even cover on the channel. If none of these comparisons are showing you how bad the state of Destiny 2 is right now, then I'm sure that this will sum it up. Here is my entire Destiny 2 heat map. Now, let me break this down. This is the start of Destiny 2 back in 2017. This is the worst season/expansion in Destiny history. This summer I was away. This summer I was also away. This is when Destiny 2 Forsaken came out in 2018. Shadowkeep, Beyond Light, which the season after is also when I became a content creator and made build videos on the channel, Witch Queen, Lightfall, and then the final shape. My playtime in Destiny 2 has been dropping season by season, and every time I do log in, I play less and less. Now that's just me, but what about everyone else? Here on Steam charts you can see that everything was pretty consistent up until Lightfall, and then people started to have enough and then called it quits. From there, season by season, the player base dropped off. Season of the Wish became the first season to launch at its lowest ever player peak count on day 1, until, well, this episode. But push forward a year, Final Shape released. It was fun, but people didn't stick around, and the game just, well, I don't want to say it died, but it kinda did. In some form. Considering that during Destiny 2's peak period of 2018 to 2023, the average player counts and peaks were quite consistently high. It was averaging a player base of around 50 to 90,000 on Steam, but then Lightfall dropped and that went down to the 40s, then a free Into the Light update pushed it right back up to the 60s and 70s, actually in some way massively outperforming your regular seasons. But then after Final Shape's month, things went right down to the 30s almost instantly, and well into the danger zone of the 20s and now getting into the mid to late teens for the average monthly player count. That's kinda concerning. I hate to compare things, but one of my favourite really unoptimised buggy indie games that I play, made by just a few individual developers, is actually outperforming Destiny 2 on its average player count monthly. For a small indie game that's been out for 12 years almost, that's kind of insane. Now, I wasn't going to make a video on this topic today, but I feel that it's something I need to talk about, because over the past few months, my interest in Destiny 2 has got so low to the point that for the first time ever, I didn't even log in to play Act 3, the new content of episode Revenant in Destiny 2 on day 1. Now, putting content creation aside for a moment, because as a Destiny player that's played Destiny since the dawn of time, I don't think I've ever missed a single day 1 content drop in Destiny 2, where I was generally available to log in and actually play, but I just didn't. I played through the best times of Destiny 2, and I stuck through the worst times like Curse of Osiris, but I never missed a day 1 drop of new content being released when I'm free and available to play it. Now, we all hear this every year that Destiny is dead, Destiny is dying, we're back, it's over, we're so back and it's so over, but this time it really feels different to your standard Destiny is dying, and the evidence just backs it up. And you know, it truly is sad to see that Destiny is in its worst state ever, because it had a lot of potential to be something much better than what it is or was. You have people like myself, or other people who have spent thousands of hours in the game, and pretty much just no life for the game and didn't touch grass. You see those players stop playing, and not even bothering with the new content, and eventually start to miss things. You see those players leave the game. You see content creators move on to cover other games like Warframe, or just not covering Destiny as much, or at all. You see player numbers fall to its lowest ever peak, and you hear little to no news about a potential Destiny 3 or any hope of significant change in Destiny 2 to bring some form of excitement and hype back into the game, other than Frontiers, which even then hasn't really hyped up the moment for a lot of existing players that are still left. A lot of my friends that I talk to, I ask them if they're looking forward to Frontiers, and their answer is, well, I ain't getting it. I think a lot of players have just had enough of Destiny 2 and called it the end after Final Shape, like it was their time to get out, which is why I really think this time is different than every other time the game has been in a bad state, where people quit and the game was supposedly dying, because in my opinion the only way to make Destiny great again is to start fresh from the beginning, with a better onboarding process for new players, while not affecting the endgame players who like to grind a lot. I could go on about all the problems of Destiny 2, like new player onboarding, but I'm not going to do that, because it's simply not going to make a difference, other than just demotivate more players into wanting to play the game at all. Now for me, Destiny 2, being in the state it's been in, has pushed me over that edge to try different games that value and respect my time. After all, a live service game is after your time, and currently Destiny 2 is not respecting that, so I just simply won't play. When you're losing regular players that's played through the worst times, you know it's bad. Now don't get me wrong, I'll still play Destiny 2. I'll still cover Destiny 2 on the channel, and in fact I'm looking forward to seeing what episode 3 brings next month, and also being back on a Dreadnought. But the one thing that I learned throughout the lowest periods of Destiny 2 is to just play what you enjoy, when you want, and how you want. Don't feel forced to gild a Gambit seal or complete all your seasonal challenges if you're just not enjoying it. Play other games, play other things, and just play what you want to play at the time and enjoy the moment for what it is, because life is just too short. So that's what I did. I hardly covered Destiny 2 on the channel the past few months, I hardly played Destiny 2, and I just played what I enjoyed at the time. You might ask, well, why do I still play Destiny 2 then? And the answer is because I do enjoy some aspects of the game. The gunplay feels great, I like making builds and playing around with them, and I generally like to see and play the new content, but the one thing I will not do now is play hundreds of hours on a game that I do not want to play. So if events in Destiny 2 are going to be exactly the same again, I just won't play them. If Heresy is fun next month, then I'll play it. But if it's not, my playtime will probably just be a couple of hours. After all, you gotta respect the player's time if you want to keep them engaged to play more. As sad as it is, if Destiny 2 can't change, then we need to change instead.